Hello there, future teachers. I hope you're all having a good time, safe, and in a good health. Today, we will look at the history of language teaching and explore three main eras, right? The pre-method era, the method era, and the post-method era. Right, but first, I'd love to start with one important question. Why do we have to know this or to study this? Basically, by understanding where methods come from, helps us become better and more thoughtful teachers, right? Each method was a response to challenges of its time. It helps us understand current practices, makes us better, more flexible teachers or learners, and it gives context to modern methods and trends, right? Well, let's start first with the pre-method era, before the 18th century, right? So the time period, as I mentioned, let's see the main idea of this pre-method era. Language teaching was not systematic, right? When we say language teaching was not systematic, we are mentioning that language was taught without clear or organized methods, right? The characteristics of this method were as follows, right? It is based on classical education, right? Especially Latin and Greek, right? That means it followed the old way of teaching used for the Latin and Greek, right? Also focused mainly on reading and translating, right? So the main activities were reading texts and translating them, right? And no clear teaching methods, just memorization and grammar rules, right? So it relied only on memorization and learning grammar rules without using proper teaching methods. Teachers were native speakers or educated elites. What do we mean by that? Teachers were elite native speakers or highly educated people, right? Communication was not the goal. When we say communication was not the goal, we're basically mentioning that the main focus was not on communication, right? So this pre-method era is based on traditional practices, right? Not on scientific theories. How exactly? It does not based on theories. It followed old teaching habits, not proven scientific ideas. Right? Well, method era. From early 1800s, right, to late 1900s. The focus idea is that many language teaching methods were developed, each with its own theory and techniques, right? That means new methods for teaching languages started to emerge, right? And each with its own theory and specific approach, right? That's the idea. Right. Characteristics. Teachers followed strict methods uh, with step-by-step procedure, right? It means teachers had to follow fixed steps and couldn't change the way they taught, right? The focus on specific language skills, speaking, listening, reading, writing, right? It means teaching was organized to practice each language skill separately, right? Like speaking or reading. Well, so each method was based on learning or psychological theory. Okay, so now we have theories. Communication was not the goal, as I mentioned, the same as pre-method era, right? So the main focus wasn't on communication, right? Well, Now let's explore the major methods of method era. We have grammar translation method that is based on classical education, right? And and its main focus is on grammar rules and translation, right? However, the direct method is based on natural language learning, right? Along with the emphasis on speaking and listening with no translation, right? Also, audiolingual method that is based on behaviorism or behaviorist theory, right? The use of drills and repetition. And of course, we will delve deeper into these theories in the upcoming videos, inshallah. Well, communicative language teaching, it is based on communicative competence theory, okay? And it focuses on meaning, interaction, and real-life communication. So method era is based on learning theories like behaviorism, cognitivism, and later sociocultural theory, right? That means it was built on scientific ideas about how people learn, right? Like behaviorism, cognitivism, and sociocultural theory. Well, let's move on the post-method era, right, where we observe a significant change in theories, right? Of course, the time period is 1990s, right, from the 1990s until now, right? So the focus idea is that there is no best method, right? Teachers adapt based on learners' needs and context. That means there is no perfect method, right? Teachers choose what works best for their students and situation, right? Well, characteristics, it refused strict methods that treat all learners the same, right? Emphasis on teachers' autonomy and experience. Here it highlights the teacher's freedom and expertise in making decisions. Right? Learner-centered approach. Right? Here the focus is on the students and their needs, right? Rather than just the teacher. The focus also is on strategies, right? Critical thinking and flexibility, right? Post method era emphasizes using different strategies, right? Thinking critically and being flexible in teaching, right? Well, so it is based on postmodern and reflective teaching theories influenced by Komaravadivulo's work. Right? Here is a summary mind map that will make everything easier to understand. Right? And with that, I would say that so far we've explored the evolution of language teaching methods, starting from the traditional pre-method approaches that focused on memorization and grammar, right, to the structured methods grounded in behavioral and cognitive theories. As we moved into the post-method era, the emphasis shifted to adaptability, learner-centered strategies, right? And reflective teaching practices, acknowledging that no single approach is best, right? Understanding these shifts helps us appreciate the complexity and diversity of language teaching and the need for flexibility to meet the diverse needs of learners. Right? Thank you all for your attention and see you in the next videos, inshallah.